Let's talk about referencing a video onto an individual page. And the way we do that, again, is we're going to create the piece of video first as a separate piece of content, and it's got its own content type, create video, and then we're simply going to pull that in or reference that node back onto our page. So I click on the create video link here in my sidebar, and I'm just going to title this test video, Dr. Saunders. Okay, I'm going to go over here to my YouTube and I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it back in over here. Okay, and you may have to be a little bit careful about the YouTube URL because it should be like an equals and then it's like 11 characters. It's possible, depending on how that might get set up, that it could end up pulling in a longer URL string that maybe it's showing it in a feature display and adding some additional code. So if you have issues with that, this should be flagged when you try to save it, and it might tell you that that's a bad URL, and so you can contact us if you need help. Of course, the bigger picture thing is that in order to use this, we're encouraging folks to set up their own YouTube channels, and if you need some help with that, you can contact our office. It's certainly possible that we can post your video on the main university YouTube channel, but again, depending on sort of quality and what the focus is and who the audience is, it may not always be particularly relevant. So anyway, so those are really the two primary fields that you need to fill out. The title is not going to output or display in any fashion. The video source is just pulling it in from YouTube. Now, there's some additional fields here that probably aren't going to be particularly relevant here that we're using maybe a little bit more big picture. It's certainly not going to hurt if you want to associate this with an undergraduate degree because, again, we were trying to pull video in and reference that on some of our undergrad degree pages. We've also got a location field. It's possible that that could allow us to use your content in some fashion in terms of how we want to sort the data down the road, but that's not necessarily required in any way. You'll note too when I save this, let's go back in and save it and open it back up. As soon as it references that that piece of video, when we scroll back down, you can actually see that it's embedding a screenshot from the YouTube side. We really do need to fill out the alternate text field as we would with any image, and again, the title is something that should appear on mouse over. The reality is that right now we're having some technical issues and those aren't outputting properly, but I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and input those so that when we get that issue fixed, it will output. Additionally, there's a couple other fields. There's a video title field and actually two video description fields that, again, in theory, should be outputting and aren't, and actually are outputting in a different way where we don't want them. So, we really don't want you to fill out these video title and video description fields right now because they're not working properly. We may ask you to come back and do that later when we get those fixed, but definitely go ahead and fill out the alternate text field and the title field because they're not outputting in any improper fashion where they're going to appear where we don't want them. And again, once we get that fixed, that will cover us from the accessibility standpoint of where that thumbnail image shows. So again, if I've already saved this, so I'm just simply, well, I'll save it again just to actually, if we'd input anything into that alternate text field, we would want to save that, of course. So I'll go ahead and save this. I'm going to go back over to my page, and I'm simply going to find that by clicking on the Testing Group 2 link here, or this button, and that'll take me back where I can see my menu. I'm going to go back to the welcome page. I'm going to open that up in edit mode. And I've actually already deleted, I did this sort of off camera, but I deleted the large image that was there earlier. And the reason I did that, again, is because video is going to be automatically programmed to be placed at the top. And I don't really want to have a piece of video sitting on top of an image and then further pushing down my page content. So I'm probably going to make a decision that I'm either going to have video at the top or I'm going to have an image at the top. So if I scroll down here, there is a video reference field. Okay, and it has an autocomplete feature, and what that means is if I start typing, it's going to find, however, whatever keywords I start, or whatever letters I start typing in, it's going to find anything associated with that in the system that's a piece of video. So there's the video that we created. Here's the reference in Drupal that's saying it's a particular piece of content. Here's its node ID. Just to illustrate the point, if I start typing in other letters, I'm going to get potentially other pieces of video. There's a profile on a student called Amy Artman, who's from Communication Studies. So in theory, you can actually reference anything that's in the system. Of course, you might not always know what it is. But if you have any curiosity about that, ask us, and we can certainly tell you what video is in the system. But primarily, I would think you're going to be referencing your own video. And so again, as soon as you select that, it's logged in, and when I save that, and we roll back down, boom, we've got our video there on the page.